Greetings, everyone. You may have heard or even used the activity 20 questions with your students. It's often promoted as a way to get students talking. But if you want your lessons to be more than just getting students talking, and instead want your students to be actually developing conversational techniques that they will apply beyond the classroom, I'll explain here how you can do that by improving how your students do 20 question activity. And this improved version will also be more engaging for your students. I recently had a conversation with a colleague about this.
David, when I just need something to fill up some extra time in my ESL class, I have the students do 20 questions.
Yes, that's a common one for ESL teachers. Maybe you can briefly describe it for our listeners.
Okay, with a partner or a small group, one student thinks of a secret noun like a person, place, or thing. The partner or partners ask yes no questions to help them try to guess the secret word. They can ask up to 20 questions. So, what do you think? How can we improve this?
Well, let's imagine that I have the secret word and you are trying to guess it. First of all, you'll only be asking me yes, no questions. And I'll just respond with one word, either yes or no. So, there really isn't much interaction between us. Also, all the secret words are nouns. So here's how we can make it more interactive so both students say more and can ask all different kinds of questions.
Great.
It's called Buka 20 questions.
I see.
Instead of a noun, one student thinks of a secret verb, or the teacher can give each student a different list of verbs that they will choose from. Now, that student with the secret verb starts with a hint using the secret verb in a sentence, but substitutes the word buka for the secret word.
Interesting. So instead of just trying to guess the verb without any hints like we do with traditional 20 questions, we're given hints.
Exactly. And the activity is more interactive because the partners can ask WH questions like who, what, where, when, and yes, no questions.
Cool. Can we do an example?
Good idea. Okay. I'm thinking of a secret verb. In a sentence that I'll say, instead of saying the secret verb, I'm going to say the word buka.
Got it.
Here's my first hint. I often bukaed when I was a child. Now, you can guess what the verb buka is, or you can ask me some questions.
Okay. Let's see. Where did you buka buka as a child?
In a park,
I see. Were you alone in the park?
sometimes I was alone, sometimes with friends.
Hmm. Can you give me another hint?
Okay, my mother told me not to buka.
Oh, yeah.
Or to make it easier for you, I could say, I often bukaed a tree. Then you could make a guess or ask some questions or ask for more hints.
Nice. So I think the secret verb is climb, right?
You got it.
Good. So, what are the conversation skills that students are practicing here?
Right. First, you'll notice that as I was explaining the activity to you, you said words like great and sounds good and interesting and cool. These are called rejoinders or listening responses. And when we did the buka activity, after I said my first hint, you said, okay. And after I answered your first question, you said, I see. And oh, yeah. And then you said, nice. Good conversationalists use these all the time to let the person that they are talking to know that they are listening and are interested and they understand. If you didn't understand me, you could use the rejoinder, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Okay, I got it. So, Buka Buka is a chance for students to practice rejoinders.
Yes, but they probably won't use these on their own, even if a teacher just tells them before they start the activity, make sure you use rejoinders and listening responses.
So, how do we get them to do that if I only have 10 minutes to do the activity?
You know, since rejoinders are such an important part of any conversation, you'll want to introduce them to your students and practice them as part of a regular lesson. In the notes below, I'll include some links where you can go to download some exercises that you can use with your students for free.
Oh, that's great.
And there's another conversation skill that we want students to use when doing activities like 20 questions. When we just did Buka Buka, after I gave the first hint, you asked me a question. Where did you Buka Buka? And I answered, in a park. Then you asked a question about my answer. Were you alone in the park? That's a follow-up question. And just like rejoinders, good conversationalists ask follow-up questions to show that they're listening and are interested in what someone is saying.
I got it. Let's do an example. I'll start. What are you planning to do after we finish this recording?
I'll probably go for a run.
Nice. How far will you run? So that was a rejoinder, and I asked a follow up.
Exactly. And I would say I'll run for about 50 minutes. I'm not sure how many miles.
Great. Do you run every day?
No, I try to rest 1 or 2 days a week. So that's how those conversation techniques work. And just like rejoinders, you'll want to introduce and practice follow-up questions as part of a regular lesson before you have students use them during other activities like Buka Buka. And again, I'll include another link or some more links below where you can find exercises for follow-up questions.
Okay. So if students know in advance how to use rejoinders and follow up questions, then if I suddenly have 10 minutes left in a class, I can have them do Buka Buka and tell them to use rejoinders and follow ups, right?
Right. And there's one more thing. The first time you do the activity, instead of just trying to tell them how to do it, you'll want to model how to do it. And one way to do this is to give them a short fill in the blank exercise. I give each student something like this. So after each student fills in the blanks, they can check it by reading with a partner. There's no need to read these aloud whole class.
I see. So student A starts and says, next summer I will Buka Buka
And if I were B, I'd say, I see. Who will you Buka Buka with?
with my best friend Tim.
Uh-huh. Can you give me another hint?
Sure, I'll Buka Buka in Europe.
Okay, I got it. Travel, right?
Yes, that's right. You got it. So that's cool. So that wouldn't take much time. And I'd only need to do that introductory exercise the first time we do it.
Right. And then when they do Buka Buka 20 questions, they will actually be practicing rejoinders and follow-up questions, not just talking.
And that can help them anytime they have a conversation outside of the classroom.
Exactly, you got it.
Now, there are 5 more activities that I've used with my students, which you told me that we can make better for conversation skill building, right? So, and here's the ones that I often use. Talk about your picture, surveys or questionnaires, desert island, ask a partner questions, and speed dating.
Yes, I'll post YouTube videos to describe how teachers can make these better. Also, I'll add in the notes below a link where anyone can read about how to improve those popular activities. So, to sum up, These popular activities should be more than just a way to get students to talk. They can be designed in a way to help students develop conversation techniques that they'll be able to use and apply outside of our classroom. So, see you next time.